Hello, my friends. I forgot to turn on the microphone, so you saw only my lips. I've been thinking about something which I can't get my head around, in fact. Seems to be hard in a way, hard to get my head around it. But it is not the end of it all. It's something about education and let me see. Education and experience and the ability to have some insight. It's not easy because it's kind of a twisted matter. Either you are very bright and clever at school, or you are just a natural intelligent. It depends. And people that tend to believe that those with PhD have some better knowledge. Maybe they have. It's hard to say because it's, as I have been into language before, maybe a year or so ago, that the language is a kind of a barrier to better understanding, better insight, deeper knowledge of certain things, because when you think you know, you have a hard time to admit that you don't know. And that is a kind of a twisted topic to talk about. It's counterintuitive to everything. So when you think you have it all, you may get lost. I have a PhD. I saw a guy that was so proud that he was taking some education in some, maybe economic, maybe criminology, maybe it was some highly regarded education. I think it was economics. If it's, I think it was something about social, like what do you call those that are working with the clients? I don't really remember the name, the English name. We have an English Norwegian word for it. It's socionom, but I can look it up. It's socionom. And this guy didn't score the high on the level of human interaction. He was kind of a retard in that. Not to say something wrong about him. He may sit here and listen to this. But when some people that have no clue about it initiate beginning in the early stages, in like a natural intuitive understanding of things, then they go into these things as if they needed to know. But in many cases they don't have any clue either way. It's like having a teacher that is running very fast in a certain educational way, that you don't get to understand the entirely new picture that is conveyed. the reality of mathematics or some kind of language. If I thought people Norwegian language and I said nå skal jeg til butikken og nå må jeg kjøpe ingredienser til kakebaking fordi jeg tror at den kaka jeg nå lager bare smør. I don't know. So that is kind of, how would you get something like that? You have to put it in a very informative, pedagogically way. Even me, since I'm not educated in so much, mainly something very mechanical, physical, and how would I know that the way to educate is very different from teacher to teacher? I had a teacher way back that limited me in a way because she had no highly regard for my ability to learn. That came to a very sweet change of the new guy in Kenya that was about to take over the education for the children, and he was dedicated. He was into this teaching and he believed in me. So his way of teaching was very kind of interesting because he exercised our ability to remember. For example, we were to remember maybe 2 or 3 pages out of a book by just every letter for itself. So we learned how to memorize the lesson. I think I did it well. I did some repeatedly, maybe 5 times I could say it straight out. It was kind of a mental exercise in how to work it out, and that is something new. I don't believe they do it today. That you have to learn a certain book that you can recitate. Exactly word for word, but I could do it. That was a skill of itself, just in order to remember. But in math, I didn't score so well. It was kind of, my brother said something to me that was very funny. In order to do this, you have to think mathematically. So what for a newborn kid, how do you learn by not understanding? It's kind of a self-contradictory statement that you have to think in a mathematical way. So I have no clue, because you have math that is adding, and you have math that is subtracting, you have math that is dividing, you have math that is squares, dimensional maths, and you have very many kind of math that you have to get in here, like nature, like you know firsthand that is how you do it. So in order to do maths, do certain things, that you need to have a broader picture. You need to have some, not only the subject itself. You may do it because you just are learned. You are the word for it's a kind of a dictation. You can read a book, but you don't understand. You can remember some text, but you don't know the context, and that is I think he meant it in a very funny way. It was funny, but maybe he was so desperate to get something in my head that I obviously could not really grasp. But in order to understand a little bit about math, for example, this is a noise that it's not here. It's from outside somewhere. People are working here, and in order to do math, you need a broader picture of what math is, in a sense. And if you want to read a book, a novel or a history book, you need to know a little bit about which story this history is placed in, which history this story is placed in, so you can see a broader picture. And I can do a color on a painting, but that wouldn't serve anything. It needs context. It needs some understanding, background understanding, and that is of the essence. And some people are depending on their ability to repeat. As I said, in our classes we were made to repeat the book that we were having as a lesson to next time. You have to remember 1.5 pages or 2 pages. This is not too much for you. You can do it. Okay, I did it. So, but I had also this kind of dyslexia that I didn't really kept understanding the context of the. I didn't understand I didn't understood the context of it. It's kind of a grammatical fault that you say in a present, yes, while it was in the past, as I did the mistake now. It's kind of a dyslexia that you don't really see the picture for all the paint or the forest for all the trees. It's like you are singling out something that you are brilliant in. You can you can do it quite efficiently, but you don't have the understanding, deeper understanding of what you are dealing with. And also, if you have a car, I was educated as a car mechanic. You need a broader picture of that. And myself, I didn't see. I wasn't bright in that either. I fixed cars, obviously, and I could understand what was the deal here, but it was not. It's kind of a lack of interest in math, a lack of interest in car mechanic dealing. If you want to fix a car, you need to have a broader picture of the car and what is the how can I explain something I can't explain? But anyway, you need a broader picture of things that is there. And the broader picture is not given by itself in the subject. It can be a collective mind that you can gather together in order to understand. But if you don't know what makes the car fatigue and easily sooner break down than other parts of the car, you have no clue. Maybe if it was you are holding the steering wheel and it just turned down the ditch, and you see on the top, is it something wrong on the top? Was it some fin there that was taken by the wind, so it threw the car away? No, I can't find any fin on the top. So we go, is it something wrong with the steering wheel? No, you need to understand, you have to go to the wheels. Maybe the wheel was punctured. on the left side which it drove into, or some joints that was also broken, not not very well. So it cracked off, and down the drain you went. So it's kind of a broad picture in a visual degree. And people that are very skilled in photographs, they need a broader picture also about that, because you have all the scenery. Maybe you can understand what the teacher is telling you, that you need a certain scenery in order to do this and that object. Maybe you know the instrument itself, the camera, and all the adjustments and configurations of the camera. And maybe you don't have the clue about anything else, but you know the camera very well from its level up from bottom to top. You know every kind of details, but you have no clue about the scenery, how the object should be taken. Maybe you take an object, a nice flower or a person that is very hip and sexy and all this kind of stuff, and you put it in front of a broken car or a garbage can or something very very, and you have a distance. You don't have the person in focus. You have something else in focus. So in as much as you think you are very skilled because you know the photo equipment, you have no clue about taking picture. So it's kind of people that have this PhD, a very high degree of education. Many of them they don't have any clue about what it is about. They can be very skilled in their degree, but in the broader picture you see that, for example, a lawyer, administration director that knows very many things regarding everything. We can take, for example, in the degree of healthcare, you have a doctor that is PhD, obviously, you have professors, you have nurses that is highly educated, you have teachers and nurses and everything within the healthcare system. But when it comes to the patients, they have no clue about how people, like when they need some kind of a treatment, some kind of a understanding, they can sit at the doctor's office and explain to a dyslexia in this kind of degree. We have a name. I would like to put it up here. He's kind of illiterate about the patient's situation. He knows everything about the medicine, maybe even the drugs that is needed for some antidepressiva, or some small activities that encourage the guy or the lady to enhance their health. But they have no clue about the background, the situation. So doctors here in Norway, they has put a needle. It's as broad as a needle compared to the person involved. That they put a needle and probe some kind of questions, silly questions or educated questions, in order to probe that person's situation, and what the information is giving them is rather contrary to what the patient really needs. So the doctors give him maybe anesthesia, I don't know, in order to forget everything and maybe sleep through that period. No, it's that kind of treatment is malmanagement, maltreatment. Because even though he is very, I had this doctor, stupid doctor, which I regard as a highly degree of idiocy. He said something that he was pointing to the vaccine and all this kind of stuff, and he said to my dispute that I have this PhD, I have Oxford University, I have everything that is needed for me to understand what I'm talking about. So I said, what does this have to do with the virus we are talking about? Everything. So, that was a highly regard. I have highly respect for that kind of level of idiocy that someone can reach. That kind of idiocy, and it seems to be a illiterate person regarding medicine in large, because he is a doctor. He should know very well that you have your own immune system. They wash their hands with this thing, and the protective layer in your hand is sufficient enough, as long as you can avoid touching everything that you are walking around. And the point in my saying today is that many of these highly educated people, they have high degrees. I have to give them that. To make through to be a doctor, it takes maybe 10 years, maybe more. And I have highly regard for that stamina of sitting down at a desk in order to educate yourself, learn different sicknesses and different ways to treat whatever that may concern. So that is, they have my respect, but when they have lack of the broader picture in any degree, it's written something that's come to my mind in the Bible, that they had those that was doing the temple inventory. They had an artist spirit, a spirit of an artist. So you see, the spirit may be what I'm talking about, the spirit of a broader picture, the context, the flow of everything. I had my daughter's picture here some time back. It was this, not this, but it was something else, but I didn't have it now. I do not have it now. So that is just sorry for that, but this kind of picture in itself have some kind of, what can I say, some kind of, this too is a marvelous picture. It's kind of a harmony in a drawing. So you wouldn't find that in some technical thing. We talked with a painter that is selling paintings in the city, in the town. We went into her and we were talking, very, very interesting person. I would love to name her name, but I can't remember. And I asked, what does it take to have an exhibition? No, you can do anything you like. And I take in pictures that have some context, have some deeper layer to it that is of a nature that is beside every those items that come in, and they just copy every well-known artist. They are simulating that they are doing the same, maybe in a better way. Yeah, so I've been a little bit back and forth here, but she wanted people here to have some genuine art. And I mentioned the temple, Israeli people, when they made the items there, they needed people that had some artistic touch to it. Not only the technical knowledge, maybe they used every part of the Israeli people in order to make the prescription was made by God. Do it like that, and do it this way and that way, and it should be like that. But they needed the artistic contribution. So even God, when we are doing some stuff, it's our education, of course, it's needed. We need to understand how gold are melted, how to take gold out of the soil. We need all this knowledge that is all about what we can do with it. And how come that people can make a computer without any understanding of the technical build-up, the data that is in the program? How could they come up with 0 and 1s? That's the code of everything in the computer. So we need, obviously, we need the PhD in order to know what to do, but to create some broader picture that means something, that we don't only remember a text. No, we remember the context of it, where the story is placed in the history, where the fault of a car is reasoned by understanding how the car is functioning, and what's at stake when it breaks down. So that's something we shouldn't be arrogant to that. We shouldn't be oblivious to people's ability to understand from a different perspective, and that have been my task all the way. So in as much as the language can learn you so much, it can also deny you the ability to see beyond, to see the context of everything. So how could they come up with this relativity theory? How can they understand the matter, that it's not... The matter is just a reflection of what's behind. So in order to understand those things, we need a broader perspective. We don't need only the matter theory. We need a much broader perspective, and that comes with experience. How to deal with mental fatigue and illness and disease and all these kind of different sicknesses. We need a broader perspective, and we need to know what promotes what. Thank you for listening to this, and I hope that some point of this could come through. Some context in your life that can be managed in a good way, so you don't despair, you just are optimistic. Goodbye, my friends.